Live. Hey, folks, are we live? That was really, really fast. What's the secret to making your builds 3 times faster? What do you ask? Well, we'll get to what that means in the section of the news. This is episode 3 of a weekly newscast of the MeteorJS. Coming to you live. Let's get others here.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dvorak, coming to you live from Prague, Czechia.
Welcome. Hey, everybody. Welcome from Germany.
What's your name?
Sorry, I have some weird connection things. My name is, of course, Küster, and I'm saying to you hello from Germany.
We're going to get over to this week. We're talking about what's making builds 3 times faster in MeteorJS. And we have some exciting news about that. Yes, they are much faster. There has been a release. We're going to get to that. But first, I think, Jan, you were telling me that I got to do some stuff. What's going on here, man?
Yes. So I will go again on my pedestal and yell at everybody to start using password managers and generate random and strong passwords. But in this case, go and the 10-year password or the password on Facebook that you set 10 years ago, change it. Use.
I told you that. I told you it's been 10 years.
Well, let's just say, with my passkey that I have, I can see how long ago I changed the password. So, I won't make any assumptions. I will not make any more callouts. Also, if you can, especially on important stuff, use, two-factor authentication with, YubiKeys or some other hardware keys, or if you want to use all the fancy things, wallet. And why is that? Well, Axios and other outlets have reported that there has been a data breach again. It will be. I think at this point you can say this. It's going to happen, but this one is a massive one, and it's over 16 billion compromised password. And it's not just it's just okay the password. Usually they don't leak alone, so they have the email and password combinations. And that also mean, Alim, that one password that's used for everything, you cannot do that because once they have it, then they have it. They will try it for everything, and I think that's like very common. People oftentimes do not realize that once the password kind of leaks on one side, the hackers and everybody takes it and they just go to your bank and try to brute force that there as well, because of course you use your Facebook password for your bank as well, don't you?
Good. So, one question here. Can I find out if any of my accounts or user accounts somewhere have been breached or something? Is there a way to find it out?
There is the haveibeenpawned.com. Sadly, I don't have the link here, but you can quickly find it on Google. That will kind of check it. But I think this latest one, just by how massive it is, it's still not there yet.
Okay.
Given that it has Google, Facebook, and everything,
Yeah.
The best assumption is assume it has been leaked. And change it. It's also a good excuse to change all the old passwords and everything as well, because that should be part of the regular, I would say, security hygiene that we should be doing.
But part of the problem though with all of this though is that, look, I don't know. I've been on the internet forever, and I've started going through and changing things, and it turns out I've got, I don't know if it's over 1,000, but I've got hundreds of accounts that I've created over the years. My Angel Fire account, my GeoCities account. By the way, I can't get to them anymore. They just don't seem to work, you know. My MySpace account, it's like all of these things are, you know, OneDrive, right? There's all of these different like services. I don't know.
Yeah.
Geez, it's going to take forever. By the way, I don't know if you're getting harassed. I'm getting harassed from Microsoft all the time because now they want me to use passcodes or something. What do they call this?
Passkeys.
Passkeys. Yes. And I'm not crazy about it because I told you in the United States, when you use something like that, then the authorities can actually open your accounts if they want to. But if it's a password, because it's something that you know, they can't compel you to give that information. And so we have protections in the United States in terms of our, you know, rights that allows this. But once you go into something automated where it could either be some kind of biometric, then they can actually like use that to get into your account without actually getting a warrant or permission or anything like this, which is, you know, I'm not saying I have anything specific, but I think for a lot of people, they value their privacy.
Yeah, one big part of that is, you know, if the government can get in, bad actors can get in, oftentimes through the same way as well, and especially with all these biometrics, like on you know, on the phones, the photo ID. You know, what does the bad guy do? You know, just points the phone before you, and it's unlocked. So, you know, that is like one of those things that sounds nice first time you kind of think about it, and then when you actually start thinking about it and the possibilities and implication, you realize that it's a bad idea and it's a problem. You know, does the same thing even like with a fingerprint. You know, just grab your hand or just, in some words, just cut your finger off. that's also an option. So you know, that's also why I'm not so keen into the passkeys, because oftentimes, first of all, I'm on Linux, so I don't have that technology, but oftentimes it's, you know, closely tied to your phone. So if somebody steals your phone, that's a problem. The same thing though can be with these keys, but usually since you have them like on a keychain or something, it's much harder to do. And you should have a backup key as well. So always, you know, good to have multiple options. But with all of that, I still think, or especially if you combine that with passwords, I think that's like a very undefeated combo, because then if you have kind of the initial password to get in, and then if you want to kind of, you know, or you should have like the two factors, so you have something else, something hopefully physical or something like that. That is there. It should never be just one thing, especially for, you know, critical things like banking and you know, your social media accounts or anything that can be used to impersonate you.
All right, listen, we could spend a ton of time on this, but I think you have a deadline today about when you've got to get off.
Yep.
So let's, you know, Küster, things are happening with code, right? So tell us about them.
Yeah, there's a new update on Node 22, and it's mostly deprecating things. So we're not the only ones that have to live with deprecations. And I mean, these are just minor things, but the essence of this is much more from a different perspective. So first of all, they're deprecating things that nobody uses anyway, but there might be still some people out there, like incoming messages and server response that now have to be instantiated with the new keyword, because beforehand you could do without it, and this is now discouraged. These are all things, but there are still apps out there that do that. There are other things like the shell. When you spawn, you can spawn sub-processes, you can spawn shells, and so on. And there are different options. And when you had an empty option or like empty double quotes, then you had some undefined quirky behavior. These are minor things, but there are also other things which are pretty useful. Something like the assertion. There are new assertion features inside again, and this is something I wanted to discuss with you just for a brief moment. I've tried to read up a little bit about assertions in programming, not in testing, but in programming. And this is quite interesting because I did not find too much. I found some hints that there are people. But by the way, I also there was a podcast from the Primogen, which is just running like at the same time we do. This is not optimal, but that's how the things are right now. And they were talking about how they use assertions in development mode as much as possible in order to get more robust code. And I will try for the next weeks and months, I will try to get a little bit more into that construct. Because, I mean, it is a node. It has a use. And it's beyond testing to be used. And this is something I found in many blogs and articles to be more underrepresented. So I don't know about you, how you think about that, but this is something I'd like to dig deeper for the next weeks. Month.
So is this using asserts as a sort of a defensive style of programming?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the concept?
Yeah. So
okay.
So it's like not really God clauses, but really like the same as if you would write, if something is not the way it is, then throw an error. But assert, of course, already has that built in a way that you don't need to write these complicated things around. In this case, we have assert partial deep strict equal, which which sounds at first like an edge case, but you know how it is with JavaScript objects. Things can get deep very easily. And equality in objects checking is always a mess and always the reason why we have things like Lodash and underscore vulnerabilities and prototype pollution and all that stuff. So this is awesome when things like this are built in to the core. I think there's even already a node in the core, some native object deep equal check already. You don't need to implement this on your own anymore. There are already built-ins. And I think we should appreciate as community that Node.js brings already so many things on the table. We just don't explore often enough, and we should do that more often, I think.
I think, one of the really cool underappreciated things are all the different methods that are on the console object that we barely ever use, right? I mean, it's one of those things. You're right. There is a lot of depth to the JavaScript ecosystem that we rarely explore and rarely use. I am curious from the point of view of using, sort of the native assert as a sort of, defensive program mechanism rather than if-then clauses, what the performance is relative to those if-then. So I think that's something to look at also, but it sounds to me like this is more declarative in terms of how you would actually write your code. And so in a sense, it's a lot more readable, right, and understandable. So from a maintenance point of view, or from, just being able to get through, this sounds like it might be worthwhile. I think I'm looking forward to seeing some examples so I can try it out myself.
Yeah, I think for like, especially like for the equalities and everything, this is something, if I look at the Meteor, this is like with DDP and all the live things comparing, the different objects that come from database and sending that to the client. That's where this plays a significant role, and kind of come where we started with the deprecation. I think that this was going deprecations and removal of APIs and the changes of APIs, as we have seen with Meteor. This is going to be a huge issue for the AIs, and if we want to kind of move forward, with technologies, we have to, the AIs will have to figure out how to react to these new changes, because again, as we have seen over the past few months with Meteor and our testing it still does not recognize, or it doesn't remember oftentimes to use the async versions of different method calls on the server. So that will be something, I think, that will be a critical thing to address with the AI. And
when we add it's as engineers, right? Where it's not just, hey, well, then, if there are some new features and new capabilities that actually make your program safer, make them more performant and whatever, and you're using that as a way of creating some kind of advantage, right, for the products, the things that you're building, the companies that you're working for. The fact that you can stay on that edge, I think, is very valuable and helpful. And because there are not enough examples out there, the AI tools won't be there yet. And so I think it's a way of, of reclaiming your value as an engineer, as a creative, working with code. I mean, what do you have a thought on that, Küster?
So first of all, I don't know if I got everything right, because in between there were some connection issues, and I don't know if it was my connection or if it was yours. So I heard you just as the AI version of Alim talking about but apart from that, I think in regards to these concepts, that are there, and also personally,
really quick, Küster, really quickly. The fact that these are brand new features that are not yet implemented gives the AI a disadvantage, but gives the human an advantage.
Gives you an advantage, but not only that. What I also wanted to say is the concepts behind that, to use new native built-ins before getting any packages out there, is also an advantage over the AI, because I personally think when you read blogs, many of the blogs, even if they're not outdated, but still, like, just enter a search on your own right now, guys. You're watching this. Just enter JavaScript object deep equal. You will find thousands of solutions, but you have to dig really deep to find the current native implementation in the browser and in Node that actually does deep object comparison from a native point of view. And I think because AI is trained with that stuff. So when you have a hard time finding that stuff, the AI may also have a hard time finding that stuff, unless it's trained very, very well on that. I don't know about how they train it in detail. But I generally think staying on top of the game gives you definitely an advantage.
Yeah, and I want to kind of add and close this up is a lot of developers still are not going to make it, because at least from my experience from the corporate world and everything, most developers, at 5 o'clock, they close the laptop and, they don't go and kind of keep themselves updated with the latest trends and everything. So, even people who are just watching and everybody who is involved and keeps on track with what's developing, even just for the core technologies you're using, you are going to have the advantage. But most developers, I find, don't do that. They just, at 5 o'clock, they close the laptop, and to get them to adopt new technologies, to even learn about the new version, unless it's, specifically a task that they're getting paid off, it's not going to happen. And these kind of developers approach, and companies who won't even allow, for example, in the working time, developers to kind of learn more, are going to kind of going to finish.
So let me just do this, by the way. I don't know who's in the chat today. I just want to pop in there and see if anybody is there, and it looks like there are quite a few people.
The third of the uns.
The third of the uns is definitely there. Simon is there. Who else do we see over there? I don't know who else is there, but we've got some people. Hi, guys. It's great to see you again. I just want to make sure that we shout out. Totally forgot. We were so deep in conversation until Storyteller actually turned away from us and pointed back out to everybody else. We were kind of talking to ourselves, but it's okay. I mean, one of the things by the way, I do want to move on from this, because again, this is something that we could spend a lot of time in. But I think your point is very well taken, Storyteller. I'll stay on this JavaScript chat for just a little bit more because things are changing with JavaScript. So we've seen the new release, but the TC39, which is the working group behind JavaScript itself, ECMAScript, if you call it, I don't know what it's called anymore, has been working on the what's coming next. And there are supposedly like 9 different things that are being advanced in the next version. So they just had a meeting. It was the 108th meeting of the TC39. I didn't realize that they have had so many meetings until I read that in the news, guys. And anyway, Ryan Dahl, you know Ryan Dahl, he's the guy behind Node, right? Who got fed up that and I'm paraphrasing, and he's probably going to be like, no, don't say that. Don't say that at all. I wasn't fed up. But yes, to me, he was fed up with sort of the limitations in Node and went out and created Dino, which, in case you guys don't know, is just an anagram of Node, right? You just take the letters, move it around, you get Dino. And we've talked about Dino in the past. We've talked about, what was the other one that we talked about?
Bun.
You remember?
Bun.
Bun, that's right, yes. So we talked about Bun, we've talked about Dino. I think there are a few others out there. But the Dino blog post that came out, I think it was like yesterday, it was June 26th, wrote about their role in the future of what's coming out in JavaScript next. And it's written by Casonato, I'm sorry, and Andy Jiang. And they're involved, or actually the Dino team is involved at TC39. They're not just using it, they're helping to shape it, and their representatives are actually there talking about what they need to do. They want to future-proof JavaScript to ensure the language continues to be powerful and efficient, especially for server-side use cases. Their focus is on performance, pushing features like immutable array buffers for faster I/O and zero-copy optimizations like they do in Dino. They want simpler async. They're advocating the use of the keyword using and doing some other proposals for making asynchronous code and context management much cleaner. That syntax for the using keyword looks a lot like the with syntax in Python. Some of you guys know I've been spending a lot of time in Python lately. I think, Küster, you've also been spending a lot of time with Python because that's sort of the language today, the lingua franca of what goes on with most of these LLMs and other deep learning and tools. And they're also, as some of you may know, you might not know, but they are TypeScript first, TypeScript native in Dino, and they're advocating a push towards that. Now, that's not part of these 9 items that the JavaScript team is moving forward with. Their focus and the things that we're going to see pretty much next is the array dot from async and error dot is error and explicit resource management are heading to the spec next. So if you want to read about this, and I'm sorry, I should have like popped this up, right? That's their article. And if you want to read about what's coming next, you could go to you could go to the Socket dev blog, and you could read it there. So we have the links, we have the QR codes, and you can find out more about it. I'm not going to spend more time on this. Was there anything in these things that were like, grabbing you?
Yeah, I would like to just add, this just adds on top what we just discussed beforehand, that keep focus on the advancements of the built-ins and not always look out for the next packages to use. And I mean, we will talk later a bit about that as well, but in other languages, they have a much stronger what's called core library and core system, like in Rust, for example. And I think this is something we should definitely keep watching and keep our focus on in the JavaScript realm as well.
Have you guys done any work with Rust? I mean, I feel like we should do an episode where we just play with it for a bit and see, the comparisons on syntax. Is it a compiled language? I don't know that, right? Or it is compiled.
I tried to get some WebAssembly stuff running with it, and it worked out, but I didn't dig deeper into it. And what we could definitely do is focusing on one episode in the future. So, guys, if you want us to cover it, like doing some WebAssembly stuff in Meteor or something with Rust, then let us know. Maybe we can prepare something.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. I'm taking a look at the chat right now to see if anybody's making any comments on Rust, but I don't see that yet. So if there is a desire or need for that, let's do it. Let's do it. So, Küster, what's up next?
Up next? Do you mean up now? So, guys, up now is the thumb. Keep the thumb up now. So if you like what we're doing and you want to support us, get us bubbled up, then leave a like. We really appreciate that, and we will keep it going.
All right. Okay. All right. What's the next right here? Oh.
Yeah, I'm done with Google.
Never goes away.
So, if you don't know, PewDiePie was the OG of YouTube, the most subscribed person. I think at this point, he's retired, but he has been making waves, especially lately in the tech sector, with 2 videos. One 2 months ago, where he said that he switched to Linux, which has been quite a big thing, especially in the gaming community. I think a lot of people at Microsoft started sweating a lot. And recently, you can see just like a few, today or like a few hours back, he has a video where he's kind of de-googling his life, and pretty much he is talking about how he has been switching from all the paid services and everything, and kind of going on his own, putting things on his Raspberry Pi, building his own camera, among other things. So he's been moving to open source in everything, which I think can only be a good thing for open source. And I think another video he had, I think maybe with Linux or maybe somewhere else, was how he kind of finished with Adobe, and he started exploring the open source alternatives like GIMP. And so I think this is an interesting move, and we can expect more people probably as in a reaction trying out new open source things.
Hopefully.
Go ahead, Küster.
No, hopefully. I just say hopefully I definitely support that. I mean, I don't know about you guys, your experience in the gaming, but the only thing that is currently keeping me on running Windows somewhere, not right now, but like occasionally, is when I'm gaming. And I mean, Steam already has a full operating system for that. It's not 100% compatible with everything, but so everybody was all the time laughing for Linux and desktop, but trust me, we're playing the long game here. That's just it's like it is.
So hang on a second. What did Jan P write here? I'm transitioning my JS LLM code from Meteor to LangGraph in Python. Oh, this is when I made the Python comment before in terms of doing data science work. Yeah. Well, I agree also that this is a very interesting time. Microsoft has been dominant for a very, very long time. I was a Microsoft guy from the days of DOS, 2.0. And I spent a lot of time with Windows and so on. What I did not appreciate was how often I had to rebuild my registry or clean it out in some way, and I get blue screen of death and things like this. And the eye opener for me was when I worked many years ago, and I had a Sun Microsystems computer on my desk, and for 2 years I never had to reboot it. Like it never shut down, it never had to do anything, and that was running a BSD Linux at the time. Well, not BSD Unix, right? And it really kind of like told me this. And by the way, back then Unix was kind of old. They was still trying to figure out like which Unix was going to be Unix, because there were like System 5 Unix and BSD Unix. It was really a little bit of a mess, but since then, like I've been on Macs probably since about 2003. The first time I got a Mac was not because I wanted it, but because my client was using it and because they were having problems with an application I wrote. I had to buy one eventually to fix it. But then since then, I realized it's running Unix underneath it, and it gives me direct access to all of those tools from the command line. So I could have a very sophisticated UI that I don't have to do very much. It's very, very user-friendly, but I also have these developer tools that I can use. And now, since I think it was 2016, I bought and have been using Chromebooks also. So my two main computers are Mac and Chromebook. And I have a Windows machine from 2012 that has Windows 8 was the latest. I never upgraded to Windows 10, and now it's Windows 11. I just haven't found a tremendous use case for Windows. I still run my game maker, game development toolkit on that Windows, and it'll run on Windows 8 fine right now. But now they've actually made a port for the Mac, so I'm actually thinking of moving my long-standing game development, which hasn't really gone very far, onto the Mac. So I'm not seeing a great need for Windows in Excel and planes and stuff like this. Such as machines, less and less Windows.
Yeah, I have the same thing. I only use Windows for gaming, and I have Windows 10, and I cannot upgrade to Windows 11 because they have some arbitrary rules, and the way I installed my system does not allow me to. And I would have to completely, wipe my disk and reinstall everything. And I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to go to Windows 11. I'm going to get Windows completely. So that's going to happen for me next month, where I'll just wipe my hard drive clean, install it with all the new systems, and will just be on Ubuntu or whichever Linux I decide on.
Microsoft is pretty smart, though, right? I mean, what they want is they want developer hearts and minds. Yes, they have corporate office. Yes, they have some of the back end. But one of the things they did a few years back, if you remember, is they bought GitHub. And now there's this new thing that came out a couple of days ago that I got an email on, is that GitHub has implemented fine-grained permissions for GitHub Actions. Now, I looked into this a little bit, and because you guys, I think, get the benefit of some of the paid features that you typically would have to pay for from GitHub, but because we have an open source project, do you guys use fine-grained permissions on GitHub Actions? Let me tell you what I noticed about it. Is it just for big teams? Like GitHub Actions, when I go to, and let me get to a view that allows the viewers to see what we're talking about here. Is that there's some specific roles that you get, right? You have roles for read, triage, write, maintain, and admin in your GitHub Actions. And now they're saying, in quotes, if your organization uses GitHub Enterprise Cloud, you can create custom repository roles. So first of all, are you using any of these roles? And, and if that's the case, how long have they been there? I just don't know about them. And then I just noticed really just for the enterprise cloud people. Turn this back over to you guys.
So are you asking about these roles, Alim, in terms of organizations in general, or only in regards to the CI? Because for now, I'm using these roles in some organizations I'm managing. Also managing some orgs, like obviously, and I think Jan, I don't know about Meteor community packages, if they use a more fine-grained one, but for example, in Actions, I think there is only the privileged base role that I think only maintainers and like guys that are in the org can actually run or triggers CI, and otherwise we have to manually approve to run the workflow. I think that's the only thing we have configured right now.
Yeah, and we have it also team-based. So in the Meteor, the Meteor community packages. So it's access to repositories is team-based. I don't think we have like any find. We've kind of like the more general roles, not the detailed one, because we didn't have any need. We have too many people doing too many broad things.
Yeah, I think the intention here is it says that these are now fine-grained controls specifically for GitHub Actions, right? So are you using any of these specific types of roles in Actions right now? As far as so, Küster, I see he's shaking his head. He's shaking his head.
No. But this is. I mean, if you just look at the size of Meteor community packages and then introducing these kinds of granularity, we would just have to need a single standalone GitHub user access roles manager that is just capable of doing that. Because apart from that, I think so. As you said, this is really for large teams with complex workflows, I think.
Okay.
Or in case of MCPs and AIs, to just give them only access to that one little thing. So that's another use case in these things.
Interesting. All right, Küster, tell the people
what they should not do next, but now, and that is subscribe to the channel, and then you will never miss out any of the upcoming episodes, and also from time to time some tutorials or nice videos we're just uploading in between. And you're supporting us in our mission, and this is of course the most important of all. We're just 4 subscribers away from 350. So guys, hit the sub, and the bell.
All right, and storyteller, we're going to move on to the highlight here, right, of the news.
Yes. Well, not the highlight yet. We are going a little bit back in history and maybe a way how to have AI actually manage your code a little bit longer. A while back, we reported that there is the Iron router that works with Meteor 3 from Polygon Wood, that they went and did the hard work of getting the first router for Meteor to work with Meteor 3. Of course, the history is that from Iron router we have moved to Flow router, and now Austria is managing updated version of that. But then last week Vlasky came again and did a galvanized Iron router, which besides the benefit of making Iron router work for Meteor 3, also reduces it down to one package. So you replace all the imports, or if you don't have imports in your old app, you just replace all the old Iron router packages with just his package, and you're set. So that's one way how these things are being handled.
So I noticed that Iron router is now galvanized. So does this mean it's rust proof?
Well, at least for a while, and as long as Vlasky works on it, Vlad Vlasky. So that is the idea behind the name, as you correctly assumed, Alim. And I think it's going to last for a while unless we see some, major changes in the code base of Meteor or API breaking changes.
So it seems like it's almost impossible to deprecate Iron router because it seems unbreakable. It's
just
iron.
In too many places.
It's iron.
Yeah. Well, but sometimes because it's not flowing enough, then
Oh my God! Yeah, this is so bad. You know what? I gotta tell you. Listen, Küster, take us away from this. And there's something that you were telling me about earlier that's new and
So I mean, it's like sneaking in as the main topic, unannounced main topic. But guys, so Meteor is finally hitting off the ground and flying in light speed mode when building or when creating a new build. I just created a new Blaze project, and it was flying away so fast. It's using SWC, the Speedy Web Compiler, and that stuff is written in Rust, and that's why it's awesomely fast. And so, I mean, this was a topic, and especially Nacho was on this topic already quite a long time. I think he already did in our show, like not last year, but the year before. I think late 2023, early 24. He was showing already some kind of a first more stable integration of Vite, of the Vite bundler, and he was very deep into that whole bundling thing. And I had also some ping pong in messages with him from time to time. And then he just came up with, now we have a new bundler here, and it's just pretty fast. And it's quite stable, and it's in a new Meteor release. And so everybody who wants to benefit from it, just upgrade your Meteor project to the latest 3.3 release, and then you have to add some minor tweaks in the Meteor section of your package.js, and you have to add some flag, modern, true, and stuff. But this is all documented. And what I think personally, what's more important about that is not like how you achieve it. You can read up the docs, it's all there. But to engage in the conversation and tell us about, and tell especially the world about it, like, wow, how fast is this increase for you perceived? Because there are some projects out there that are really big, and I think they are profiting the most from it. I mean, I have some smaller apps, and they build with the normal Meteor compiler already super fast. But this thing is now really flying away, and this is for bigger projects. You will definitely feel the reduction in time. There is one thing, though, and this is something we might talk about, and Jan also might have to say something about it. I was trying to engage in a discussion there about the future of Babel in Meteor, because Meteor is currently using Babel to transpile things down to the final bundle. And Babel has its own issues, and we also have this hard dependency on the reify package, which is originally from Ben Newman, who is not there with Meteor anymore. And so this is always a little bit, I wouldn't say it's problematic, because it's all stable and it's running very well, and it's a super sophisticated package, and it's crazy what it's doing since years. It's just the thing that there are not so many people that understand what it does and how it's doing it. And this can become a liability in the future. And this is why it's great to have integration for external tools that just do their job well.
Yeah, the issue with Babel right now as a Meteor is updating all the dependencies. And actually, for example, we have a lot of Babel packages that are like in the proposal, but they have since been upgraded to full rules and everything. And doing that updated Meteor has been proving to be quite a difficulty. So that is a problem that's ongoing, and that's also partially why these movements to, could say, greener pastures or new tools are happening. But still, with some packages and other places, there is an issue of backward compatibility. So how also this works is that, it goes with the new system. If there is an issue, it switches back to Babel and all the old compilation as a backup to kind of use all those things that we are used to.
And I mean, we all know this.
I just want to throw one thing in there. So I just want to, for the listeners that have been watching and so on, what exactly is the secret that makes your builds 3 times faster here?
That's the SWC being compiled by Rust, and this is a compiled language. And I mean, this is like on the speed level like C++. So we are talking like the kind of speed you want to achieve when it's about performance. And so it's using that pre-built binary basically to help you run that stuff. And the cool thing is also that it currently supports TC39 level 3. So basically everything that's that's in plus super new, or
Yeah.
like that's in plus coming soon. I would say, can we say it like that? And so you shouldn't worry about using any fancy stuff you used beforehand. When it worked with Babel, then it will work with SWC. With
And SWC is a speedy web compiler, right? That's what.
that's the speedy web compiler. Yes.
Yeah. So
it's
right,
nice that
built
it's
right into
speedy.
the name.
Yeah.
Right into
Yeah. And I want to add here, this is like, as Jan said, Nacho is kind of, the spearheading this upgrades, and he is not done. He is promising us more and more. We had recently the update, which promises, of course, that the 3.3 branch, which this is where this landed, is going to look more on the edge cases, which in this is always an issue and super annoyance. And they're also promising more improvements in the patches as well. But they also looked at Meteor 3.4 and in a blog post and other places, Nacho has kind of already really looked into that. And the big thing is it will integrate RSpec. And Nacho is promising another build time drop by 75.4% and refresh time down by 96%. So Nacho is going super hard, and the team that supports him as well. So that is pretty, I would say, insane. I'm looking forward to that. Usually with all these changes, there will be quite a lot of edge cases and things that will have to be tested for. So it will probably take a while to get there. But I believe RSpec is also written in Rust or something like that. So there's a lot of things that come on that. And just to very quickly, another big thing related to speed is that change streams for MongoDB are back on the menu. That's something we've discussed very often. And it's like they come again and then they disappear, and now they are back in. Hopefully they will make it. There's still a lot of discussion around it. So if that's something that is, you're struggling with the speed of with DDP and MongoDB, that will be then jump in, let everybody know. We already have a few, could say, test integrations in other packages. And next thing that is making its way back in and that has interest coming is our DDP resumptions. So that should kind of reduce the resource use and make sure that when resuming or kind of, when you drop your internet and then come back in, things should be much more smoother with reconnection, all that stuff. So it's something that I believe or Vlasky has been kind of, really spearheading it with my occasional help here and there. And now finally we have one that's passing all the tests. So we are just hopefully getting the finishing touches for it, and we'll see that soon. Funny story with this. Actually, for the test failing, AI has analyzed why they are failing and proposed a fix. The funny part is that the proposed fix was to a code that it made up, so that was unusable. But I've run another AI to look at the proposed fix and everything, and it actually found and fixed the thing in the code. So that's how we got to the working part. And now please go out if you can and try it out. Let us know your feedback if you run into an issue, so we can get it across the finish line and into Meteor 3.4. Any thoughts on these?
Yeah, so I see that in your notes you had that Nacho has the recipes, and I'm thinking he brought the cheese. So anyway, this is looking really good. It's a lot to absorb. And I think I'm going to be going to the GitHub and reading the notes, so I get more informed on it. Küster, do you have a comment on this, or perhaps I just want to go ahead? Oh, no comment?
Yeah, no, I have no comment anymore. I think we're good to go.
All right, quick quiz, guys. All right, what are the different ways? I just want to ask you really quickly. What are the different ways that reactivity works in MeteorJS today? Got a good sense?
Depends.
There is
So
only one.
There's only one? Well, tell me.
it
Just
depends
kidding.
if you take it out of the box or if you add, other community packages. Then that can get a bit more complex.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, go ahead. Küster, you were going to say?
The only correct way I wanted to talk about. There's only one correct way, and that is the tracker, of course. No, but
That's
anyway,
true.
you're
By doing it from the high level, by
yeah.
doing it from the high level object. You're right. You're right from that point of view, because the thing is, if you're developing applications, you should not be thinking about the low level implementations on what's going on at the back end. But typically, we have three options, right? We started with the default method, which is diff and poll. Turns out that doesn't really scale very well, so we went to uplog tailing, right, which is a different option that we have. And then that had some limits, and I believe it was a cult of coders that created what they call the Redis uplog solution. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah. And so those are the three ways that we deal with reactivity in MeteorJS today from an implementation point of view. But there is a fourth way, and Jan, Storyteller, you pointed out just a couple of seconds ago, or maybe a minute ago, that this is coming in 3.4, and change streams are finally on their way. And so there is large discussion of it on the forums. There's some questions that still remain on how this is going to get done and how it's going to work out. Different people have tried different implementations. I would suggest that if you're interested in seeing what the future might look like, go read this, try out some of the implementations that they've done, and then add in what you think might be missing or might be necessary for those once change streams are implemented. What do you think needs to be there in order for you to build applications that can take advantage of this reactivity? And if you read the change stream documentation from MongoDB, what thoughts do you have as to what's missing that you might not get if we were to change from the default pattern that we're using right now? So do you guys have a thought on any of this? Küster? I'm sorry, I was looking
personally, I don't have a thought on this right now, because as we already found out, I'm more of using the high-level API, so I'm not so concerned right now how it's realized, because I am not running into scaling issues most of the time, and I'm always proposing that before you try to get the weapons ready to shoot on your scalability issues, you might first take a look at your own architecture and application design and see what you can fix there. Before and especially before you go the infrastructure way. The infrastructure way is the most expensive of all, I think. Yeah. So before going that, first see what you can do, and this works for me most of the time. But I'm not running a business with 10K or 100K users, so maybe I'm not the best to ask for that.
Do you run into these? So, I think what you're saying is, like, look at your database, make sure you have proper indexes, covered indexes, and so on. Make sure you're filtering the amount of data that you're pulling back, right? Like, those are some basic things that you could do first so that you're not overloading your application, right? So,
use observers.
Exactly. So, but I think Storyteller, you're running a larger scale application, I think.
Yeah. So for me, how I see this is, the uplog tailing. It's an outdated method. It works, but going to the change streams is something that needs to happen, just because it's kind of the official way how it should be done, and it should in theory be more performant. So that's kind of how I see this is something that we have been discussing in the Meteor community for years. Just that hopefully now this way around, the chain streams are finally there to make it happen. In the past, it was that uplog tailing was the superior option because chain streams were just too young and they didn't have the all options that was needed. So that is where this will be going. And another problem with uplog tailing is that it's primarily an internal API. So there can be changes that can then just break Meteor altogether, and with chain streams that will be much more stable.
So do one of you guys want to take this question from Third on P? Which is, from the discussion way back, there's a problem with item deleting and reactivity with chain streams. Does that still apply? I don't know personally. I think this is a question that comes up with whoever has
yes,
practiced.
This is something that the most recent effort. That's one of the questions that has to be answered during that. So to be determined.
To be determined. All right. Okay. Well, Jan, I hope that Jan P. I hope that was a good enough response. And if not, then I think we can follow up on the forum thread that this discussion comes from. Okay. And I want to be respectful of time because I think we have about a minute left before Storyteller has to take off. And we also want to kind of keep this sharp and tight. So let's, I think we're done with the news today, and we've got a couple of reminders here for you. So let me get the, let me get this back up here again. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll start, or if we have only 2 reminders. So last week at this time, I was doing my launch of Meteor Universe, which is all-in-one creative writing and publishing platform written in Meteor. And it addresses I want to address a lot of issues that we have with today's technologies and also kind of use them. So I would like to, again, invite you to kind of watch the recording of the stream that happened last week. Let me know in the comments what you think and take benefits of all the offers that we have there. It really would help us if you could, take a look so that, at least we can have, show that we had some people watching it. We had, but larger number is always better. And finally, September 25th, 2025, we have Meteor Impact. We will have, and this time for sure, more in the coming weeks. I just need to kind of sit down and code it. We have, I will be speaking. We have Radoslav Rekmi speaking as well, and more are in talks. And we will have an official sign up through Luma. So get ready for that. It's going to be amazing. And that's all I have.
Yeah, so one of the things I want to bring back is that not only, so I will be posting something. I don't know what I'm going to be talking about yet. I've got to kind of figure that out. I've been busy with another conference. I need to get my, I'll do that next week. So you got to see the stuff I've been working on. Not Meteor related, but guest related, but you might find that interesting. In any case, I'll be doing also, Jan, if you will have me, and I believe so. Abigail Watson has indicated that she is interested in giving a talk done recently. So I think that would be a pretty awesome addition once we can get her proposal in and we talk to her a little more about it. Küster, you've been working on some stuff, yes? You want to talk about it, or are you not ready?
I want to give some sneak peek. So, of course, I'm also working on things as my side hustles, and especially with Meteor, and I'm currently building some, how to say it, a self-assessment survey tool, but which is a little bit different from the tools so with a little bit more complex engine behind it. And if you're interested about that, then you may fill out the form I'm just sharing right now to subscribe to a little newsletter I'm giving you, and then you can get some latest infos when it will launch and what it will look like and what it will be about.
Can you share it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. I'm putting it in the chat right now, but I'm also sharing it later on in the description. And
Okay.
so the thing is, the journey is still to go because we currently have a few customers in Germany, and we're still very little. But this is going to be published soon, so we're launching as well. But this is still there's still a little bit of time about that, and we also think about launching in other countries. But this is also far from now, which is why I'm giving you the form and keep you informed about our journey, and maybe we can have some sneak peek in one of the upcoming episodes.
Sounds good. All right. I know that Storytellers is booking out right now. He has to run to another meeting. So we'll see you next week, Storyteller. Thank you. Okay. So he's
Bye-bye.
All right, and yeah, so we're gonna get this link out. Well, we have it up here right now, so if you're interested, we can go from there. And I don't know if well, I guess it's just a Google form, right? So
It's
it's
Google
not,
form, yeah.
yeah. Okay, so yeah, you're gonna drop that into the show description.
Yeah.
All right, cool. And everybody can pop in if you're interested. Fill out your information, and then Küster will keep you informed.
Keep you updated. Yeah,
exactly. Sort of maybe like little microblog posts, like Twitter posts or something.
See how that works out.
Yeah, figure out what works. All right. Well, I think this is towards the end of this point. Do you have anything else you want to share right now?
Not right now. I think we did a huge amount of infos we shared today, and I hope you all are able to digest it properly. And is there any? Can we do a preview on what's next week episode, or is this still non-disclosure?
No. I think we can talk about what's coming next week. I think what we said the last time was we were going to try to continue. What were we doing the last time? The last time we were starting to do teaching yourself MeteorJS using an LLM, and we were getting some really interesting results there. And I think we said that we were thinking about continuing with that in an upcoming episode. So maybe that's what we should do. So, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are positive on that. Maybe we ask the audience what's their thought on that, and if you're already totally in AI fatigue, then let us know, because there's such a huge bunch of topics out there we can cover, and but we're of course covering what we're interested in. But if you say you can't stand it anymore with LLMs and vibe coding, then let us know. We can also see what we got in.
So let me run through what we had listed here for next week. So this week we were supposed to cover a topic called why AI-powered chatbots are the future of MeteorJS apps. We did not do that, right? But I think that is a really good use case for Meteor, is to be sort of the front end, right, to these APIs, and it could be a very interesting use case. The next one we had on the schedule was AI-powered freelancing, how MeteorJS devs can win more gigs through prompt engineering and structured workflows. I don't know if that has any appeal. I think the fact that we were doing this, how do you teach yourself MeteorJS or any other language for that matter, right? Or any other technology using the AI tools, I think is really transferable skill. that you can use elsewhere, and we're doing it specifically within this tool set, is something that's relevant. So that's the thought. If you have some ideas of what you'd like to see, where you want to go, great. Share it with us, and maybe we can turn on a dime and do that instead.
Yeah.
All right. And
I'm good with that.
if that's, yeah, so if that's all, Jan, I'm going to give you your time back. We did a pretty tight stream today. I'm pretty happy about it. Hope you are too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I'll see you next week, guys.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Ciao.